I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, I'm honored to introduce you to Cleveland Eason. He is a dedicated military veteran with more than 23 years of honorable service. He blends his rich naval experiences and insightful interactions from around the globe into his inspiring book. It is called A Sailor's Advice on Life. With the wisdom of someone who has journeyed through the world's vast oceans and lived through the height of the Cold War, the author illuminates the path of life with valuable lessons he has learned along the way. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Inks and Bindings for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this wonderful book. Cleveland, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Yes, thank you. It is definitely a pleasure, and I definitely appreciate all you do to ensure that people are well informed.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate your time and thank you for your praise, sir. Let me ask you about your book. What inspired you to write A Sailor's Advice on Life?
That's a really good question, Crawford. When I was assigned to the Middle East, it was an independent, very isolated assignment. So I had a lot of time to think and reflect on things that were valuable for me. And one of the relationships I value greatly in my life's journey was my relationship with my father. And there was conversations that I wish we would have had during my formative years, but sometimes life and circumstances get in the way of those conversations. And based on that, being a father myself with three daughters, I started thinking about what sort of advice would I like to pass down to them and to ensure that they can navigate their lives and have more fulfillment.
Absolutely. Now, you grew up the son of a U.S. Army first sergeant. Did you ever think, or did you know growing up that you'd follow in his footsteps, at least in part?
Well, not really. I really planned to go to college and pursue electronics. I had a really big fascination in electronics growing up. And then one day a Navy recruiter came to my high school and said, "Hey, the Navy's has some of the best training there is, and you could join the Navy." And then afterwards, I used that skill and that education to get ahead on life. So I originally planned to be in the military just for my initial enlistment and transition out, but I really enjoyed the opportunity to serve my country in the naval forces.
Now, when a sailor gives advice on life, it sounds like it's pretty profound because a sailor has seen every corner of the globe and has seen life in situations that most of us only either watch on TV or read about. So what are some of the best advice, or what is some of the best advice you give to folks who are seeking some guidance in this life?
Well, one of the observations that I have is that um, even though we look at our relationship with our children as being a short journey, especially when we had those sleepless nights as parents, as I'm pretty sure you can relate to
Yeah.
that. It seems like a long time, but really we have just a really short period of time where we can really create those beliefs and those values for our children.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that regardless of the culture or background, that parents who are involved and have that positive interaction with their children and allow them to uh, be able to feel accepted, understood, and develop trustworthy relationships, have better outcomes. And
Mhm.
so that's one of the things, regardless of where you are, what continent or what culture or religious background, that interaction with that family or that environment that you're introduced to has a big impact on your initial trajectory.
Yeah, yeah. When you think about it, we have 7, 8, 9, if we're lucky, decades of life. 2 of those decades are spent raising our kids, and they really are just like clicks of a clock. They go pretty fast. So you really need to enjoy those years, appreciate those years, and invest whatever you can in your children. And those are tough years because generally you're young too, and you're starting out and building a career and have distractions. I'd imagine being in the military was tough also with parenting and so forth, right?
Yes, it was, especially for the oldest of my three daughters. And that was actually one of my primary reasons for deciding to retire when I did. I recognized that during some of her late adolescent, preteen years, I was deployed and spent a lot of time away, and I didn't want to miss that final season of high school for her. I wanted to be available and to be able to help guide her through that phase of her life.
Absolutely. That was wonderful of you. And I'm sure she appreciated it, even if she probably didn't seem like she did at the time. Looking back on it now, I'm sure she's glad Dad was there during those very important years. What was it like for you writing this book?
It was very introspective. It gave me an opportunity to look at the relationships that I had. We all have those key relationships and those aspects of that quality of relationship. So those are the things that really was brought me introspective moments when I was writing this book.
What are you hoping readers take away from it?
Well, I like them to take away from this book. There's a study that was done by Harvard, and it looked at what really brought fulfillment in individuals' lives. And one of the things that I believe my book helps to highlight is the importance of relationships. The things will come and go. And we don't get to take anything with us, as you and I both know, when it's our last day. But we will leave an impression on the people's lives that we intersect during our life's journey. And those have a way of echoing and living a legacy that hopefully will be passed on for more than one generation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you miss being a sailor? Do you miss being out at sea? Do you miss that life?
I miss it. It's just, one of the things that you get to enjoy when you're out to sea is the vastness of the ocean and the lack of light pollution. It's just amazing at nighttime we can see the billions of interstellar objects and just take in the beauty and the strength of nature. But I also recognize each time I'm away that there is a void that time can't be refilled.
Exactly. Exactly. Now that you've written this book, have you got the writer's bug? Are you working on anything else?
Well, yes. Actually, this book I'm in the process of reintroducing. Um, I originally launched the book during the height of the pandemic, and as such, because there's just so much human tragedy going on, I really didn't do much to promote it just because I felt kind of guilty about that. But I've moved on with some of that past experience. And this book is now going to be introduced truly as a self-published, and where I have a lot more control and the distribution. And I'm looking forward to reintroducing it to a new reader audience.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, the name of this book is A Sailor's Advice on Life. It is written by Cleveland Eason. He spent about a quarter of a century serving his country honorably in the U.S. Navy. And he has taken those naval experiences and the interactions he has gathered from around the globe and put them into a very inspiring book that is highly recommended. Cleveland, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you so much, Crawford, for all that you do and allowing artists like me to get an opportunity to give a reflection of part of our contributions.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.